Welcome everyone to another CTC Software webinar. My name is Sean Zerbis, the Director of BIM Development here at CTC Software, and today we get to continue with the HIVE CMS learning series. In this session, we're going to be talking in great depth about how you search for content. We're going to start at the very simple kind of aspects of content searching and go all the way to some very advanced techniques that you can use in searching for content. So you can really narrow down and find exactly what it is you're looking for. Now, as always, of course, this webinar is being recorded. And also, as always, if you have questions about today's topic, I encourage you to throw them into the questions window, and I try to answer those live while we're going through the webinar, just weaving it into the actual discussion. But if it doesn't fit well, I also save a Q&A session for the end, and you can hang out for that and get any additional questions you want answered, even in addition to today's topic, kind of all covered there. So without any more jabbering here, let's talk about today's topic. So anytime, in pretty much any system, when you're searching for content, whether it be a powerful CMS like HIVE or whether it just be Windows Explorer, sometimes this can feel really frustrating. There's a lot of times where you feel like you need some kind of secrets handed to you, some kind of secret handshake or some special skull key that you found, it pulled out of a cereal box or something, whatever, right? So here today, I'm going to talk about all those quote unquote secrets and show you exactly how you can use the HIVE CMS so that you can, at least within that system, feel really comfortable about how to find content in that space. So we're going to cover a couple of topics here. We're going to start with some basic, simple searches. Just how do you run a very basic search? We're going to talk about using the powerful filtering and how to get access to that in case you don't have it open already. We're also going to talk about some special search commands that you can use to really expand upon the basic searching capabilities. And then finally, for things that we do commonly, we're going to be using saved searches. We're going to save those, kind of use existing ones built by our admins, and also save our own. Since I'm not big on death by PowerPoint, I'm going to be doing all of this content live, all this discussion live. And if you happen to have HIVE CMS installed already on your system, I encourage you to open it and try some of these things for yourself while we're going through and kind of doing this in today's webinar. Now, first off, I'm going to start with a very basic, simple search. So I'm signed into HIVE right now as an end user, as Joe Demo, and Joe has no real admin rights. So everything that I'm doing here today, everybody should be able to do in pretty much the exact same way. Now, depending on what your content is that you have in your system, you might, or probably will, get different search results than I am, but that's okay. The concepts here are the same no matter what. So first off, let's talk about a simple search. When you're on the home page, when you're wherever you are, it doesn't matter. Up here at the top, this little search bar, this always stays on screen no matter what tab you're on the side, no matter where you are in the home page, whatever, this little simple kind of search bar shows up here at the top. And this is where you're probably going to be searching for things most frequently. That's my bet, my guess. In this case, I want to search for something simple, like maybe I want to find a door. Just type in door and just kind of see what shows up. Now, there was some previous search results that were here earlier, but in this case, it opens up and I'm seeing anything that somehow matches the relevancy here of door. So I've got door sliding ICS pocket, there's a doorbell, there's door tags. I mean, everything's inside of here. There's 266 items that somehow match the search term of door, and that's far too much to scroll through. If you find that you have more than like 100 results, you probably ought to refine your search a little bit. So we're going to take a look at how I can refine this a bit more. Maybe I was looking for something like single door, and I'm just going to run a search for that, right? Now I'm finding some things that match this. There's single door casework, and there's also single door doors. But actually, this actually gave me more results than it did before because I have two search terms in here. And the way that HIVE works is it's looking for anything that's single door or single or door. And so it's actually finding more items. You might think this would give you a better search result, but this actually finds you potentially a bit more. So we're going to talk about refining this because I want you to be able to find everything that you need. So first things first, let's talk a little bit here about filtering our content, because a simple search is great and you can use this to start a search and kind of get an idea of what's here, but sometimes it makes a lot of sense just to enable a little bit of filtering as well as searching for a basic search term. So you can think of this a lot like when you're shopping for a car or when you're out shopping for a house or a new apartment or whatever. A lot of these websites have this panel on the side that lets you filter the results automatically based on some specific criteria. Like, hey, I want to find a piece of land that has at least 2 acres, or I want to find a car that's less than 50,000 miles, or you name your search result, less than this cost, whatever. And those are things that we use a lot. Maybe you're building computer parts. I want to find all the stuff that relates with processor such and such, or screen size this, right? Like there's all kinds of things we can filter by, and it's not just searching with text. Hive has that exact same functionality, and I recommend that you make use of it. So right here in the Hive UI, there's this little filters control on the command bar, a little kind of control bar here. And when I open this up, my Hive filters are already pinned to screen. If yours are not, then what it does is it kind of floats out here, and as you click away, it goes away. I like leaving my filters out there all the time, and I find that I use them more when they're always on screen. So I'm going to recommend you hit the little push pin right here on the little filters panel, and that way it'll stay out there all the time. And Hive remembers this setting for you too, so when you close Hive and open it back up, the next time you come in here, it'll remember, oh, hey, you like having your filters open, and it will have it open and pinned on screen. And this way you get easy access to all of the things that you need, okay? So within the filters, the most common thing that many of us filter for early on is just the library something's in. So here, if I was like, hey, you know what? I really only want my corporate Revit content, for example, and I could apply this search to my corporate Revit content. And now when I'm searching single door, I'm finding stuff that matches single door, but it's only finding me 75 items because it's pulling exclusively from this one library. That's a lot more sustainable. Now I feel like maybe I want to scroll down and look through this list and find something that matches this and load all 70 some odd items up, and I'm good, because now I can kind of look through all of it. Now this still isn't really what I'm looking for, because there's still a lot of kind of unnecessary results inside of here. And since I'm looking for things that are single doors, in my mind, that to me means a swinging door. So what I'm going to do is also leverage here in the filters Revit categories. That's another thing that you have. Now, if you don't see that expanded out, you can always hit the little down arrow right here that'll let you expand Revit filters, or if you're an AutoCAD user specifically, you could expand the AutoCAD filters and leave the other one collapsed. That's a great way of just kind of organizing yourself on screen here. But in this case, with the Revit filters, I want doors, and I'm too lazy to scroll all the way down. So I'm just going to type DO, and then I can check the box there for doors. And then if I reapply this, now I'm finding anything in this list that matches single door. In fact, I'm going to get rid of the word door and just search for single and see if I find anything else. Yeah, see, now it's finding me just single doors out of my library. When I had the term door in there, it was also finding anything that had the word door in the file name, and it was finding me double doors as well. But now I'm finding just single items, and this is far more sustainable. I'm able to search for single. I find the 9 doors out of my library that I'm looking for. So this is fantastic, right? Now I'm able to really quickly filter this down, and this works for any category. I could be looking for patterns, materials, air terminals. It doesn't matter. I can really narrow down to that category of object and then put in some simple search phrase here and find way fewer items. In fact, in this case, I could even exclude, if I wanted to, my libraries search here, and I'd probably still find a sustainable number. Yeah, 33 is not bad. It's finding me 33 items in here, and by looking at the little icon right here, I can tell this is an Autodesk piece of content versus this being my CTC content, since it's a part of my library, and I've put a nice little preview image on there as an admin. So my admins can really help guide me to where I'm looking to go. I can see exactly what the source of this content is, right? So it makes it really quick, really easy to find some simple things here. Now, there are plenty of times here when I want to do something a little bit more advanced. So instead of looking for just single, I may also want to specifically look for sliding. So single and sliding, and that's it in my doors. So let's try this. If I put in sliding. Remember before when I did this, it may find me double sliding doors as well, and that's not necessarily what I'm looking for here. And I'm also finding a sliding door handle, which isn't necessarily what I'm looking for because the term sliding is here, even though it's not a single sliding door. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple of, like here's a double sliding door, right? So, or a biparting sliding door, so it's actually double. My goal here is to find only single sliding doors. So in the advanced search part here, one of the things we can do, if you just separate this like this here, where it's two different words, it kind of works like Google searching works, where it'll search for anything that matches single sliding, but also single and sliding, or I should say single or sliding. In this case, I want to guarantee that it has both search terms in it, single and sliding. So I'm going to add a little plus sign here in front of sliding. And when I rerun this search, now it finds me explicitly the 5 single doors that are sliding doors. There's no swing doors in this. It's just finding me sliding doors. Let me give another example of this. I'm going to use an MEP example, a mechanical example. I'm going to clear all of my filters out over here. And across all of my libraries here, it still only finds me a few items that are single and sliding. So this has a sliding drawer apparently someplace in that family, even though the preview doesn't necessarily indicate that. It's probably an interior sliding drawer. Let's do another example though. Let's do a search for a manufacturer like Titus. Okay, I'm going to search for Titus, and this is going to find me 65 items here. But in this case with Titus, I really only care about items that are VAV boxes. So plus VAV, just kind of see what shows up. Yeah, see, in this case, I'm finding just Titus and VAV items inside of here, and that's it. In fact, actually, it's finding me a ceiling diffuser, and the reason it's doing that is because there's actually a VAV fan-powered ceiling diffuser that's actually a part of this particular collection of content. It's a type. I investigated that using the details panel before our little webinar today. So this is a fantastic way, without even necessarily leveraging the filters over here, you can still very powerfully refine your searches by simply using a plus symbol here. So if you remember earlier when I was searching for single door and it found me a whole bunch of items. In fact, if I do single first, notice how this is, let's give it a second to refresh, 329 items. If I do a search for door, individually, 226 items, and then if I do, single and door, single door, just no plus sign, it gives me a ton of items. But if I simply add a little plus sign here in front of the word door, now it's 56. Again, it's a somewhat more sustainable, kind of search here. You could also use the category here, like doors, plural, and that way it finds me single items that somehow match doors, in this case, the category doors. Even though door is a part of the name, doors is the category, and that is searchable. And so now I'm finding all single doors across my system, right? Powerful little advanced search tool here. Now, here's the deal. There's plenty of times when I do the same kind of search over and over again. A lot of times. There's times when I say, you know what, I want to jump into my corporate library here for my Revit content. That's the example I'm using today. I only want to find doors here. So I'm just going to check the box there for doors. And I only want to have, I don't know, swing doors and just kind of see what shows up. All right, so I got a bunch of swing doors sitting here since I use swing doors a lot. And if I want to try to get to this list of 11 doors really quickly, that's a lot of things to have to do. Pick my library, pick my categories, type the word swing, refine, refine, refine. It just takes extra time. And I'm not a fan of doing things super repetitively. Now, there's plenty of times when I do a number of filters and I'll refine a search. But if I do this same thing over and over again, you know what? It makes sense for me to kind of save this criteria and not have to keep doing these steps over and over again. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to hit the Save Search button right here. I'm going to make a save search for myself. These are CTC. Actually, this is my search. So I'm just going to go ahead and put JD for Joe Demo, since I'm acting as Joe right now. JD, CTC, let's just do swing doors. In fact, I probably should swap that around here and call it out CTC doors swing, just so that if I have doors sliding, that would be its own little collection. I like to organize things by name here, and I'm just going to try and alphabetize this as best I can. So I'm just using CTC because I know it's a CTC library here that I'm working with. I could give myself a bit of a description if I want to, tell myself a bit more about what the filters are, but in this case, with this saved search right here, I can reuse that JD CTC doors swing search as much as I'd like to. How do you recall that, though? How do you actually use that saved search? Well, the easiest way I find to use it is this little hamburger menu up here just to the left of the search criteria. If you drop this down, you may find that you have a number of pre-saved searches from your company, your organization. These are actually shared searches that were given to me by my BIM admins. And so here, if I click on CTC doors, you'll notice it doesn't have a search term here, but it is searching the Revit content CTC library, and it's already filtering for doors. So it finds me all 22 doors in my corporate library, and it's also exclusively returning back just Revit content because that's part of the filter that's been set here. There's also an example of where I have my Revit templates, where this searches for everything in my templates library that's Revit content and comes back with all of my Revit templates. So I don't have to remember how to filter for this. Once I've done it and I find what I'm looking for generally, if it's something that I use regularly, I can simply save it. Let's go back and actually recall my JD search here, JD CTC door swing, and it's now going to come back with the exact same search. Searches for this with the same criteria, and it finds me all results that I've got access to that match that criteria. So those saved searches, I want to be clear about this. They're not saving the result. They're saving the criteria, and when you run it, it reruns the exact same search and pulls out whatever's there, which means if your admins add more content, then the next time you run your search, more content might appear here if it matches that criteria. So powerful tools here. You can also, by the way, get access to your saved searches if that's something that you want to start with every day right away. You can go here to the Home tab, and from the Home area, there's a little Save Searches icon sitting right here. If you click on Save Searches, all of these show up. And the nice thing about this, if you end up saving a lot of searches, and maybe you're like, man, there's so many in this list. All I really want are those that are like doors-based. Well, hey, look, I can just filter this, and now I've got a bunch of doors-based searches and run my own, I don't know, out-of-the-box U.S. Imperial doors, and it'll run a search for, the library out of the box that I've got access to, and for anything that's doors in here. So all 54 out-of-the-box doors will show up, right? So if you go back to the Home tab here, it remembers that you were on Saved Searches. So once you're here, you can use this over and over again. Like, hey, give me my templates. So if you like going back to the home page so you can filter, fantastic. You don't have to do that. Remember, there's this little hamburger drop down. It's the same list of saved searches. It's just this one here is not able to be filtered. So from here, you'll have to go, if there's a long, long list, you'll have to scroll through some of the items here. If there's more than like 15 of them, that might be a little troublesome for me at least. So I like to go back to the Home tab here and see them all listed out and be able to filter them down a bit in case I'm looking for something like, hey, I only want to have anything that matches CTC, right? Just my corporate stuff. Or maybe I'm working for a special customer, and within there, they've got a specific name, and maybe I've saved some searches for that, right? So that way I can strategically be able to filter for that if I include it in the name of the saved search. Now we have a whole kind of session about saved searches and how to work with those in particular. I would encourage you to go take a look at our YouTube channel for that because that will certainly help you refine how you manage and maintain your saved searches over time. But there's certainly a kind of an aspect of that within the advanced search because it is an advanced way of using search. If you've done something really complex and you don't want to remember how you did it, then you can just, save that search. All right, so with that, I think I'm actually done with the primary content here today. So what I want to do is say thank you.